Coming out, I appreciate
May
it.
I,
Oh, please, please.
As you know, this is the Oneida Public Library, and we aim to provide a venue for local talent, and Zlatko has been graciously willing to perform here. But I do want you to know that he does perform in other places, and keep lookout for in your Syracuse entertainment sections and Utica entertainment sections, because he is still performing. You will find his history will come through in his performance, so I will let Zlatko do it for you. But just a preview, next month, April 24th, we're having the Black Opus Strings with your friend Liz,
Yeah, that's an
Vital,
awesome.
and two others. The quartet is now a trio, but they are excellent musicians. And in early June, we're having a Thirsty Ragtime trio, another trio, which is made up of Dave Liddy and Steve Quinville from Camden. They've performed here before, and if you like ragtime, boogie woogie, that's the concert you should also attend. So Zlatko, take it away.
Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate it. Give him a that is so kind. I really, Liz, a friend of mine, Liz Friedel, she plays with the Black Opus String Quartet, or she's a trio now, apparently. And she told me that, Oneida Library might be looking for some performers. And I figured I'd email this gentleman here, and he was kind enough to email me back. And then we had a little talk, and he asked me to come down here today and sort of play some of my songs, some of my original songs, some of my covers, some of my foreign songs. Because really, guitar for me, when I first came to America in 1997, I think. Well, it's been 20 years, more than 20 years. As an aside, this is the longest I've lived in any one country my whole life, And I became a naturalized American citizen about 3 years later, right after I graduated from Oneida. No, I was actually a senior in Oneida High School when I got my citizenship. Both me and my mom and my dad, And we moved to Oneida Castle after living a refugee life down in Europe, right? So back in 1992, Bosnia and the whole area of Yugoslavia was turned into a giant turmoil of civil war, and there was sort of brother on brother hatred, and everybody had the same skin color, the same way they would bleed, everything would be the same, but different religion, and they would sort of say, hey, you don't belong here because you're not certain religion, or you are certain religion. So I was born in a part of Bosnia in a Catholic family, so we were, Christian Catholics, right? And that part of Bosnia was taken over by the Serbian population, who are East Orthodox, like Greek or Russian religion, right? And then so Banja Luka, the town I'm from, became the capital of something that they now call Republika Srpska, Serbian Republic, which is sort of a little micro-state inside of a little micro-state, right? So it's just a mess down there, right? There's a lot of different unfinished business, I guess you would say, But we left Bosnia in 1992, and then we moved to Slovenia, where my dad had a friend, and we sort of lived there for about a year, where I started learning Slovenian, which is kind of a different language than Bosnian, or Serbo-Croatian, as they call it. And I started going to school there, and my mom, being from Bosnia, couldn't get a citizenship in Slovenia, because my dad was Slovenian. He could, so the children could, but my mom couldn't. So we couldn't stay in Slovenia. So we decided to move to Germany, because a lot of refugees went to live a life in Berlin or different cities in Germany. So we moved to Berlin, and my dad got a job working there as a Gastarbeiter, which is a guest worker working in a Baustelle, which is a construction site, And luckily I started learning German when I was in 4th grade. So I kind of spoke some German, and I was kind of easy. It was easy transition for me. I forgot most of it by now, which is a shame. But about a year and a half later, or a year later, let's say, German laws changed. They didn't want to allow so many refugees in that area, so we had to move. So we moved to this house down in Croatia, which is closer to Bosnia, but still not Bosnia, you know. It's the same language as Bosnian with a slight little nuance in dialect, you know. You can recognize somebody who's from Croatia versus Bosnia versus Serbia based either on their last name or their accent, you know. So it's a weird situation down there. You wouldn't have that here, you know. America is this really large. Yugoslavia is kind of like America Yugoslavia was something like America is, you know, sort of this conglomerate of different republics, 7 different republics. So after the leader died in 1981, I think, Josip Broz Tito passed away, I think, in 1981, maybe 1980, I don't know for sure. And then the country sort of fell apart, you know. And when we moved, after, you know, living in Croatia for about a year, we found this International Catholic Migration Commission program that was allowing refugees into America through a sponsorship. So we found a sponsor in America who lived in Oneida Castle. Her name is Joyce Irvin, and she now currently resides in New Jersey, so she moved. But we moved right across the street from her, you know, and I kind of spoke some English, right? I learned it from TV, you know, everybody kind of knows a little English in Europe. It's kind of, your culture is really disseminated out there to a level where everybody can kind of quickly pick it up, you know. And all the shows were subtitled back there, so I was, you know, I was really blessed to learn from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I came here, I was like, yo, homie, what's happening, you know? It was bad. So when I went to high school, yeah, I know it's funny, right? But I got picked on. But I went to Oneida High School, you know. When I moved actually from Germany to Croatia, they didn't recognize a year in Croatia, so I lost a year. They were like, those credits don't matter, you know, forget it, you gotta take 8th grade again. So when I came to America, I had some credits, you know, language credits and certain other credits. They recognized here from Croatia, so I was able to finish Oneida High School in 3 years. So I wanted to kind of move up, you know, get out of there kind of more on time, you know. But also when we came to America, one of the things that kept me connected with the old country was the music that I brought with me on little audio tapes. We were speaking about tapes earlier. So I had a box full of these audio tapes that I recorded off of radio, and so, you know, duplicate copies that I made on my own, sort of, and I brought them over, and they had songs from, you know, different pop and rock and different acts from Yugoslavia area, you know. So one of the bands from Croatia, one of the most famous, oh, I'm sorry, this is actually a Bosnian band, specifically from Sarajevo, which is the capital of Bosnia. Sarajevo, you familiar?
Oh, Sarajevo.
Sarajevo, yeah, Sarajevo. Yeah. Yeah, in America, yeah, you say Sarajevo,
Yeah,
which is okay, that's
you
okay.
can say the way you say
They don't
it.
even say Croatia. They don't call themselves Croatians in Croatia. They call themselves Hrvati, Hrvatska. It's not Croatia. I don't know where that came from, but it's something to do with Latin, I think. I'm pretty sure. And Bosnia is pronounced Bosna. Bosna. Technically, it's Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bosna and Herzegovina. You know, Bosna. To me, Bosna always sounded better than Bosnia. I don't know. I was always like irked by the word Bosnia. It sounded dismissive, you know. But there was this band from Bosnia called Crvena Jabuka, which means red apple. Crvena Jabuka. And they wrote this beautiful love songs, a bunch of beautiful love songs, and this one in particular is one that I sort of learned. It was the first song I really learned on a guitar, so I figured I'd start playing some music, shut up, and play the first song I ever learned, you know. And I should mention that I have this little box here. If you hear other noises, I have this little ditto looper, what's called a looper. It allows me to sort of record myself as I'm playing, so if I want to like... If I want to, I can record myself while I'm playing. So none of this stuff is pre-recorded. I kind of have to record it as I'm playing. But it helps me sort of do more with like just one guitar. And it's a fantastic little piece of technology, you know. I love it. But this song is called Sa tvojih usana, which means from your lips. And it's a love song by a band Crvena Jabuka from Bosnia. So it kind of goes like this. Puli, kraj begove, džamije. Ja siću do bašče, šatrošljive, da poberem. Ti uzmi i brik, srebrni brik, ko vode, da doneseš. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. Tvojih usana vrućina upira. Još pamtim legende starih plemena, ko što za ljubav glavu gube i umiru kada ljube. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. By now you should know the lyrics. Ready? We're gonna do the chorus together. I tada priznaću ti sve, šapnut riječi te, volim te. So that's called Sa tvojih usana by Baby and I messed up the solo. I feel bad. It's going to be in a recording now.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds great.
I hope it's not too loud.
Nope.
So
Perfect.
I got this little box here doing some noises for me. So, but yeah, so for me, always music has always been a little bit of a therapy / connection. You know, with the old country. You know, because when I came here, there was really nobody to relate with. You know, a lot of Bosnian refugees went to Utica. You know, so there's still quite a considerable Bosnian population down in Utica, but there's really nobody here in Oneida except I think me and my mom, and we live, you know, together right now. So unfortunately, 2 years ago, my little brother ended up passing away. He was born here. He was 15, and he passed away from leukemia. You know, and there was no history of that anywhere in the family. Nobody knew anything. It was weird. It was very shocking. And then 6 months later, my dad passed away. So I ended up moving in with my mom, you know, and I ended up sort of making Oneida a more permanent home, you know, because I used to live up in Hamilton, you know, which is about half an hour away, but it's still far, you know. And I wrote a bunch of music, you know, after all that happened, just as a kind of, so it's a therapy thing, you know. therapy thing. See how I mix my T's and T's and V's and W's. But this is a song, maybe I'll play one of my songs real quick. This is a song I wrote, so after I learned these chords, you know, these simple cowboy chords, you know, I started writing my own music, you know, so, and before, you know, I don't know why, but I wrote this song called Soon After You, that, you know, this happened way back in the day. I was like 16, you know, 17 when I wrote this. But for some reason it was really dark, you know, it was like sad song, you know, so it kind of goes like, like this. Notice the similarities chords, by the way. If you look at the chords, you'll see that they're pretty similar. That's because that was the second song I ever learned. Well, wrote. I mean, first song I wrote, but like I worked on that after I learned that first song. There we go. That's the attitude. Yeah. That's better. If the road was clear, sugar, I can't see straight. The flashes of chill, they streak across my chest. So weep and hold your head. This little dream we had, so beautiful, I just forget. Oh, and if I die soon after you, will you meet me in heaven? I didn't want to hurt you, you just made it happen. The devil that destroyed everything. It made me lift my hand. Oh, now you look so sad. I must do good deeds now and follow your gentle steps. Just crave to meet you, but in the end, oh, and if I die soon after you, will you meet me in heaven? I didn't want to hurt you, you just made it happen. Oh, didn't want to hurt you, you just made it happen. Soon after you, will you meet me in heaven? I didn't want to hurt you, you just made it happen. Oh, you just made it happen. Oh, you just made it happen. So I wrote that when I was 16. It's crazy. like what those lyrics kind of like, you know, it's not like, hey baby, you're so fine, you know, like, it's none of that. It's like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? Why was I so sad when I was 16? This is my therapy session, you're supposed to play something. I'm just venting, you know. Anyway, that was called Soon After You. It's a song I wrote when I was very young, sort of a first real song I kind of put together. It's very simplistic, you know. Later on I started learning and more chords, you know, and how many of you do play guitar? Like, are you any of you into music?
Yeah.
You do play a little bit? That's great, man. You were asking me about all kinds of chords.
Glossing over, yeah, that's right. Mine are not-
Maybe, okay, here's something I wrote. Maybe I'll play another original, maybe, is that okay if I go with another original and then we'll,
Sounds good.
okay, cool. This one is, I wrote fairly recently actually, so you can see how much, you know, my style evolved, I guess you would say. And it's called Swim Alone, right? It's called Swim Alone. And the song, if you listen to the lyrics, is really about how things look, you know, when you don't have something, it looks better. You know, like grass is always greener on the other side, that kind of message. So, you know, it's about that. So it kind of goes like this. Tell me if this sounds bossa nova-ish.
There you go.
Living ain't so easy all around. Heavy feelings weighing us all down. But even when your life is looking fine, grass is always greener on the other side. So cast your crown of thorns and rest it upon the ground and swim alone. Little Caroline, reap what you sow. Reap what you sow. Close your eyes and listen to your heart, where feelings get so hot, like a little sun. My little baby, where have you gone? Where is innocence and hope? Whatever happened to our dreams? And I'll fight for them. I'll fight for you and me. is greener on the other side. So cast your crown of thorns and rest it upon a ground and swim alone. Just swim alone. Swim alone. Swim alone. Little Caroline, reap what you sow. Reap what you sow. Reap what you sow. Come on. Thanks. You see how I like changed a little bit? I got a little less depressed. A little less. Stop laughing, it's not funny. Depression is a serious problem in this country. Suicide rates are high. I have a friend of mine who works in suicide prevention in Syracuse. His name is John Harris. He's also a bandmate of mine, so we play together. And every day he tells me these nightmare stories of the calls he gets, because people call who are depressed. They call this suicide prevention hotline number. I wish I knew it on top of my head, but sorry John, if he sees that. But I've been through a lot of things in my life. I was forced to leave Bosnia when I was 12. I moved around Europe as a refugee for about 5 years. Came here when I was 16. And lived here. Then I lost my brother. And I lost my father. And I've had sort of depression. And things like that. And it's a perfectly normal, common thing that happens to human beings. It's a normal thing. But suicide to me has always been sort of this forbidden thing. It's a sin. It's a bad sin. So I always felt really sad for people who died through that means. Whether voluntarily or involuntarily. I had a friend named Chris Bowers from Utica who passed away, and it was a form of suicide. But it wasn't. He knew he had a drinking problem. And he had a bad liver and he had disease. And doctors told him, don't drink. And then a girl left him. He started drinking. I saw him one night. He was drunk, we found him in a street in Utica somewhere, took him home. A friend of his who spent the night with him. And then 2 days later, his girlfriend at the time found him dead in his bed. And that was right around the time when all this happened to me with my brother too, like shortly thereafter, And then I wrote this song as a tribute to the people who are not with us anymore, but who I hope we'll see again, And it's a song of hope, and it's a song of wishing people well, And it's called Wishing Well. It kind of goes like this. I'll play another original. Is that all right?
Yep.
All right, cool. This one's a little bit more involved, so I'm just going to focus. Notice it's a little happier. Where did you go? Oh, I hope you know. I hope you know. Of a better place out there where love is true. Someplace, somewhere, where I can be did you see? I hope the one. I hope the one. In a better place inside, where love is true. Someplace, somewhere, where I can be with you again and again. Bless you.